Atulya Akash of Freudian Paradox welcomes you to this amazing journey which embarks today. We, Freudian Paradox, are the first institution recognized cognitive science club in India and the first club in India to study human sexuality. The Freudian Paradox is a cognitive science club dedicated to the ideas of analytical psychology and mathematical philosophy. We study ideas ranging from knowledge argument, Cartesian meditation to their relationship and artificial intelligence. But this is not all that we constitute. We here at Freudian Paradox study human sexuality extensively, and we have conducted various statistical studies inferencing on several psychological aspects relating to study of sexuality and sexual fluidity. No institution in India as of now has a certified course or a dedicated club that promotes the study of human sexuality, and NIT Trichy is the first institution to take progressive steps in this regard. Our social program aims at awareness and awakening for the LGBTQIA+ cause, which is why we are here to embark our journey on a Rainbow Fest. Rainbow Fest is the pride festival of NIT Trichy, which is an all-month festival where we will organize talks, seminars and open speaking session to promote the cause of LGBTQIA+ community. We will call famed activists, transgender models, professors and psychologists and host them to talk on the issue and address the problems faced by the community and how in turn we can be a good ally to them. Now I would like to call upon Mansi to introduce us to the first event of this amazing journey we are going to have and talk more on our Rainbow Fest. Thank you so much.
So, good evening, everybody. I'm Mansi Mehra, Social and PR Head of the Freudian Paradox Club of NIT Trichy. Today, we are delighted that we have Mr. Bodhisatya Ghosh as our inaugural speaker. He is the LGBTQI+ activist and an apprentice lawyer at the Calcutta High Court. He actively influencing the grey areas of gender as a gender fluid model. And he has been featured on Bodhisatya and has a designer brand to his name. He has also been an Indian delegate in the Youth International Forum 2019. We are happy to have you. Now, I would hand over to Srivarsha and she will have a meaningful conversation with you.
Hello, Mr. Bodhisatya. How are you?
Hello.
And a very warm welcome to the Rainbow Fest.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's an honor to be a part of it. And yeah, I'm really thankful to all of you to have me over.
The pleasure is all ours. So let's start off with talking about the lockdown.
Definitely.
It's definitely affected everybody. So
yeah.
And our college students, we have this general response, oh no, we're missing our hostel life, we're missing our friends. But experiences of people in different professions is always enlightening. So how has it been for you?
Yeah, so I can talk about me personally, that the lockdown was like kind of, it was a mixture of both things, bad days and good days. But then if I talk about the perspective of the queer community or the society as a whole, the lockdown has been a tremendously backfall or a set fall or a fallout for them, because I think many people from the community cannot express themselves that they could have expressed when they're not living with their family institutions or their hometowns, because a lot of people from the community, they go out of their cities to bigger cities probably, and then they set there, they move there, they explore themselves, but coming back to your houses and getting locked down within the family institution kind of restricts many individuals from the LGBTQ community to be themselves. So that is one thing that has probably taken a toll into us during the lockdown.
That's definitely true. I think all of us to some extent, even if living in the house, if you were able to meet your friends at least once a day, or once a week, it would have made a difference.
That is something, yeah.
So, Bodhisatya, you're an activist, a lawyer, and a model. So, how do you manage your time to pursue your profession and your passion simultaneously?
I think law is something that I've been consistent after my schooling, I was like very determined and I was very consistent with that. And I think towards things that you maintain a consistency and discipline, you kind of get like attached to it. So I think law is something which is kind of very practical and which I'm doing every day, and I have been consistent. So that is something there. And art and modeling, has been a passion. That is something was always there in me. And so it's not, when people ask me, how do you juggle between both? I don't. I just do everything in their designated times. I study, I do my legal work when I have to do it, and then I do my artwork, which is my fashion and everything else. So I do it in the time that I have kept it for doing it. So I kind of juggle between both, and it just happens.
I think that's very important to have
Yeah,
designated times and to actually stick
yeah,
to it. Because when you try to do too many things and you don't have a plan, it
no,
can get overwhelming for the person.
it can definitely.
It's really amazing. Yeah. So knowing that someone's out there doing it is like an
Hmm.
inspiration for everyone who wants to manage their time better and pursue the passion also. So,
Yeah.
what do you think as a lawyer? Okay,
Hmm.
that when the Section 377 was
Yeah.
debarred, and it was a very big moment for the entire
Hmm.
community.
Yeah.
So, what were your experiences and your perspectives being a
Yeah.
lawyer?
Yeah, see, Navtej Singh Johar versus Union of India, and it was like a landmark judgment. And we were actually not lawyers that time. We were in the law school, and it was something for me at least, when I am studying law and I am part of the LGBTQIA plus community, and something like that, a judgment like that came, it was something like it was very overwhelming for us, because all this while we were criminals, because the section 377 judgment, actually it got scraped off. It had something in, like, the act said that if you are caught doing homosexual activity, that is basically lesbianism, sex, or gay sex, if you are caught doing that, you would be tried under the criminal, procedural code. So all this while we were living like criminals, so it was like a freedom. It was something very groundbreaking, and it was something we really loved and we very cherished. And also, as a lawyer, I think we took up that case and we explained our other law students how did that case work, what the judgment was, and how did section 377 got scraped off. So it was kind of very it was a landmark thing, and it was a landmark judgment for especially us being from the community and not being a criminal anymore.
That must be a lot of pressure
Yeah.
on someone where anyone in the community is just trying to find themselves like anybody else,
Hmm.
and having this thing pinned on to you by the court or by law is something that's
Yeah,
really unacceptable, and it's
of course.
freedom, like you said, for it to get
Yeah,
scraped off.
yeah,
But simultaneously, there are still biases in our law. Like recently, the cases of Saurabh Kirpal, and he was not allowed, or there was some internal miscommunication or something, and he was not appointed to the High Court or the
yeah.
Delhi Court. But
Hmm.
there
Yeah,
is some bias against homosexuality in our country globe, and there are so many different representation of the queer community is different, or
hmm.
how different it is in
uh
different communities.
yeah, in different communities, you're saying, in different
Sorry,
countries.
countries.
Countries, yeah. So, see, I think
Yeah.
till all this while, Indians were criminals for being who they are. I mean, the law is so twisted that they do not like directly point you and say that, oh, if you're a homosexual man, you're a criminal. No, but if you're caught having homosexual sex, you're a criminal. So, it's kind of twisted and turned, the laws. So it's like, I think there is a lot to do. There are many countries that have been very pro LGBT friendly countries, like You know, if there is a for say the neighboring country Bangladesh, where LGBT people are illegal, you cannot be from the community, and if you are from the community, you would be termed as someone illegal. So I think there are many countries which needs to do the homework and which needs to legalize the rights of the LGBT community, and they need to uphold them and make the community feel safer and protected by the government. And talking about this country, India, I think we have a lot to do. We have a lot of homework to do, and we have like the currently case which is going on is the marriage rights. We do not have marriage rights still now in this country, and I think the this country, India, should learn from other countries who have already legalized and who have made pro laws for LGBTQ people. So I think that's what India should do and should implement the necessary laws and regulations for ourselves.
Um, so apart from this pro
Hmm.
home-sex marriage law, is
Yeah.
there any other thing or lingering stigmas you feel are not getting enough awareness or they're
Hmm.
not being addressed at all?
Yeah. Yeah, I think in the LGBTQ spectrum, the most, I mean, I am a cisgender person. I belong from the community, but I'm cisgender. There are transgender people who are very much discriminated. The laws that are there for the transgender people, those laws are too discriminating because they are made by cisgendered heterosexual people or probably men who have made those laws. But I think you should include more and more transgender people for making laws for themselves. I mean, do not kill the space, give them the space. If you are making laws for them, ask them, consult them, include them in the like legislative bodies and making the law internally for them. I think also the government has to do a lot for the development, for the program, for the documentation, for proper administration, for giving them visibility and proper representation. And I think that is one discrimination that the trans community faces a lot. I mean, LGBT community as whole, we face a lot of things. There are no like anti-discrimination laws. If someone is discriminating me for my sexuality, I cannot move the courts exactly like directly through proper codified laws. But there are laws. There are few laws which I can approach the court, and also there are other laws which can be added. But the government and the legislative body should make proper, legal methods and proper codified laws through which we can get, the proper justice that we need. So that is something I think is missing and should be fulfilled.
Yeah, especially once the procedure is in place, then there should be a lot
Yeah,
of awareness spreading events so that everybody knows about it.
exactly. There, exactly. And also there should be
That's
proper
also very
representation.
important. So, hmm, like you said, they should be included at least in the
Yeah.
decision-making process of the laws that are
Yeah,
about
of
themselves.
course. Of course, of course.
That's definitely really important.
Yeah.
So, you were the Indian. So, how was that experience for you? Uh,
It
what
was,
were your key takeaways?
yeah, it was really good. So it was like a global meet, and different countries had different issues that they were talking about. And I think there was literally, I was the only one, that is India was the only country who was talking about these gay rights or gay marriage rights. So it was a good experience because different countries had different issues and they were putting forward in the global, seminar or the global forum. So it was my paper. I had written a research paper on it, and then I presented it that it is high time India should legalize the Gay Marriage Act or whatever. They should have a proper act because we do not have adoption rights, inheritance rights, or marriage laws. So we are not even included in the Special Marriage Act. So I had proposed that it's high time we should do that. It was a good experience. It was people from all over the globe did say that it is a very important topic and they should consider it. So I think it was a good thing that I had brought up and had represented my community and my country on a global platform with the concern that we should have adequate laws.
So how is that received at the global forum?
Yeah, the global
When you
forum.
were, like you said, you were the only one.
Yeah,
You were the only one representing this. You're bringing up
yeah.
this issue. So
Uh-huh. So it was celebrated. It was much celebrated. They said that yes, we should, like, India as a country should have legislative, like, proper legislations for marriage, because I mean, even there it was pointed out there are many countries who did not have LGBT friendly, like those countries were against LGBT community, and being a person from the community is very much illegal in that country. But there were also countries who already had their marriage laws or pro LGBT laws. So, it's always affirmative thing that we look out for in a seminar or a global meet. And I think that it was a discussion, and it was discussed that it should be implemented, and it was taken forward to the higher authorities. That's all that was done there.
but that's really nice that
Yeah,
it was accepted, and
yeah,
to also know how the situation is in different countries, you know that
yeah.
these are all the things you can do. So
Hmm.
legalizing the same-sex marriage and the other issues you
Yeah,
talked about, which is very nice to know.
yeah, definitely.
So coming to the modeling side, um,
Yeah,
so like you said, art was always a part of you, and you were always interested in that.
yeah,
And so, how did you start your modeling journey?
yeah. So I think, growing up as a queer kid, growing up as, like, not a very stereotypical manly man, I was kind of effeminate, and I was always myself. So I think fashion was always my defense mechanism. That I think I took this thing and I learned this thing from a very famous pop star who also said that fashion was always her defense mechanism. I think that was exactly the same for me, because I mean, you can bully me, you can come and tell about shit about me, but you cannot be me, and you cannot steal what I'm wearing. You cannot dress up like me. So that is something which always gave me power, and it actually gave me the courage to move on and to stand out as the person who I am today. I think so. I would always want to stand out of the crowd, and because I was pushed away from the crowd, and I had serious, events of bullying and stuff. So I was like, it's okay. I mean, I dress well, I dress better than you, and I look really beautiful in this. So I think that was kind of my defense mechanism, and I explored it more when I went to a bigger city. And then that's where I found out that there's something called androgynous fashion and modeling, where I don't have to conform to the binary standards of gender, where I don't particularly have to be a man or a woman. I can do whatever, I can dress whatever, and I can be whoever I want. So I also learned more about gender fluidity, gender fluid fashion. I met people, I explored myself, and that is how I came into this world. And luckily, and like with all the blessings from people and my well wishes, I have, like, got some kind of acclamations from different institutions. So I feel blessed to be a part of it, actually.
So, who are your main influencers that during
Like,
your journey?
role models.
Yeah, role models.
Yeah, I think I really adored the Bengali director who is a national award director, and he's no more, Rituparno Ghosh, because he was one of the very famous gay icons who was out there on the mainstream media. Because, growing up in India, you never get to see, LGBT representation in, be it in cartoons, movies, films, television serials, magazines, school literature, or anywhere in the society. Because I grew up watching everyone around me heterosexual couples and heterosexual normativity. I never saw any kind of representation. I never saw any idol who is gay, or a transgender person, or a lesbian person, or anyone from the community or the spectrum. So I think Rituparno Ghosh is someone who has been so out, who has been so loud, who has been so confident about himself, and he was just out there, and he actually made his, uh, you know, uh, his character, or he made himself as a brand with his art and his talent. So I think that was very much important, that. And also most of the homosexual men and women, they are very much fond of Lady Gaga because she has always been very pro LGBT, and she has always hired LGBT people for her music videos. Because also looking at that on the mainstream media, I think she is one of the idols, or someone I look up to, and who has given so much confidence and power to us.
It's true. Looking up, it's
Yeah,
knowing that somebody out there represents something that you also believe in is a lot of self-assurance, I feel, to see
yeah,
somebody who's representing the queer community in big
exactly,
avenues like the media.
exactly. Because
So I
it's
think
very important for us.
it's sort of acceptance. So you know it's out there, so you can
Yeah,
accept yourself, something like that.
exactly, exactly.
So I feel you've also set yourself to a distinctive style, especially with your feature in Vogue Italia. It
Yeah.
so easily just resonates with literally anybody Indian. So can you take us through the creative process of coming up with such a flawless and powerful look?
Which look exactly are you talking? Was it the traditional look?
Um, yeah, the traditional look.
Is it the red and white one? Because I mean, there have been
Yes, exactly. Where
few
you're bent back.
with what? Yeah, I can't hear you
I
properly.
think you have a head. Uh,
Oh,
I think you have
headgear.
something on
Yeah,
your head.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what it is. It is basically a chow mask. So chow is a very traditional art form, and it has been existing from time immemorial in Bengal. It's like only in Bengal. It has originated in Bengal. So that is a mask of goddess Durga. And I kind of thought about an idea of invoking, like, even a man can invoke the feminine energy, or an androgynous man. I think femininity is in everyone, and I think I personally feel a lot of feminine energy in me. So I think that is something I recreated, and red and white sari is the traditional Bengali sari. So that is something I wore. Usually, the women, Bengali women, wear that. So I wore it, and I took the Devi's face as, the symbol of femininity. And yeah, we just me and my photographer, I think we just created that, and we just did that. That was in my room. That was in my drawing room, actually. It was not even in a studio. So we just created something, and then the next morning he posted it that night, and the next morning we see that it was on Vogue Italia. So we were like, okay, that is like really great.
I think it's very distinct from what is generally out there in the fashion
Yeah,
industry.
yeah.
And there's something really powerful about it, which just draws you into the picture. And I think it really
Thank
stands
you.
out.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So your idea of putting up the chow mask is not
Yeah.
something that's really common. So how do
No.
you, I don't know, how do you get such ideas?
Ideas.
Or what is it that
Brainstorming.
pushes you towards it?
I think it's just brainstorming, taking inspiration from people, reading. I like to read a lot about different culture, different religion, different traditions. So I'm a very inquisitive person. I like to talk a lot. I like to question a lot. I need to know more about it. So I'm always in the spree of reading and knowing and researching, and just going through pictures on the internet, just scrolling. And so I think through that only I got some inspirations, and I was always that mask is there in my house. It's like a wall hanging. It's something that I have put on my wall. So it's a very beautiful piece that has been made by the people who from that very village where chow is practiced. So I got it from them, from a handicraft fair. And yeah, I thought, why shouldn't I incorporate like this and create a beautiful feminine energy? So that's what I did. I think nothing so special about it, but then yeah, it turned out to be really really beautiful. And kudos to the
I think
photographer, actually.
to both of you,
Yeah,
so you mentioned
yeah,
educating yourself, being
hmm,
curious and inquisitive. I think
yeah,
these are the qualities that really expand your mind,
Yeah, I think this is some habit I
I guess,
developed
in
while
some
being in
way,
the law
and
school.
you get more creative.
Yeah, I think this is
Okay,
something I developed in the law school because we have to study a lot, we have to read a lot. So yeah, it has become a habit now.
that's actually nice to know.
Yeah.
Like, because I think a lot of people do read, but then they stop it because of education, or they
Hmm.
just don't have the time to read more, and it
Yeah.
just dulls down, and suddenly they
Yeah.
say, no, I don't read anything. But it's important to keep reading and keep yourself educated about
Yeah, but
everything.
I mean, I can give out small tips, a small little advice that if you don't want to read, go and watch some documentaries. That would be very helpful because there are times even I don't want to read. I go and see educative videos, because we have so many videos nowadays on the internet.
That's very true. YouTube is just full with so many educative videos. It's just about
Yeah.
subscribing to the right channels.
Yes, definitely.
So, there's a question from one of our audience is,
Yes,
what can
definitely.
we do as a college student
Hmm.
to make our college more inclusive, or any college?
Yeah. Yeah, so you see the colleges, so the UGC board also has a few rules and regulations where the students cannot do ragging or cannot, you bully someone else. And also the act very much mentions that you cannot bully someone on the basis of sexuality or gender or for being from an alternative gender. So you cannot do that. So I think first of all, there are laws which are protecting the LGBTQ people in the college and the educational institutions. First and foremost is people should know about the law. People should be educated by the law and should be said that there are laws like this. If you do so and so, you will be prosecuted through the law by this. So I think there should be proper, and it is very deep rooted that we have homophobia in us. So I think from the school levels, there should be education. There should be education on gender studies, sexuality, and education on LGBTQ people from school level and also in the college institutions and other educational institutions. And you should create space and safe space for the people. You should have, proper reserved places for transgender, like reserved seats for transgender. So it would include the transgender persons to also come and study in the colleges and the educational institutions and give them space, let them be themselves, do not discriminate them, allow them to be themselves and do not be so inquisitive about them. If you see someone from the community, do not just go and pounce on them and ask them silly questions like what are you, what do you do, how do you do, and all, because these are something which we get so commonly from straight people or heterosexuals, that they're so inquisitive. And many people are inquisitive for the sake of it, and many people are inquisitive because they do not like it, and it is something alien to them. So I think do not kill the space, treat them like any other normal person, let them like do the talking. If they want to share, only then they will share. So being students and being part of the heterosexual community, you have a very big responsibility of being a good ally. You should educate yourself and you should behave accordingly with the people of the community and make a space that is very safe for them and not very uncomfortable basically.
Yeah, that's very true. So treat
Yeah,
them how you would treat somebody else,
yeah,
and
exactly.
not ask them questions you wouldn't ask anyone else.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
Google it.
actually very true.
If you
And
want to know
so,
something, Google it. You'll always get it in Google. Don't come at us, you know?
so I think, like you said, there's a lot of actually unawareness. People don't
Yeah.
know what terms mean, or
Yeah.
what sexual fluidity or things in the LGBTQ
Hmm.
stuff. So they should take up to Google. So apart
Yeah.
from that, do you have any other insight you would like to let other people know?
Yeah, definitely. I think
Like,
something called pronouns, which is very common between us and which is so not common between other people. So I think you should always introduce yourself with pronouns and like I'm Bodhisatya. My pronouns are he and him. I identify as a man. So you can my pronouns should always be he and him, because there are many people, there are many transgender persons also and there are many non-binary people who do not belong to the category of he and she. They use them or they. So, you should always ask them about their pronouns and give your pronouns as well. So, that is something very important and something very inclusive behavior. That way, you make them feel safer, and you make them feel, we belong to the community and we are part of the community. And I think the allies or the heterosexual people has a lot of responsibilities towards us, being a good ally, because all this while we were not given any rights, all this while we were discriminated, we were not allowed to be a part of any mainstream professions in the country or outside the country. So, I think because of the history of bloodshed and violence and discrimination, it is time that you should consider us as normal human beings and give us our space back and the rights back. So, yeah.
Right, very important. So, since you've been in court, we want to
Yeah.
know, how is it from the inside? What is the government's perspective towards the community?
See, the court and the government is pretty different, but then I can tell you about the court. The court is all black and white. We have to wear black and white. That's what we have to wear. And when you go inside the court, you plead in front of the judge. It is just very, systematic, and it is very. It's like theory and practical. It is whatever we learn, we do it in practical there. So it's like a case comes, we go, we read, we go and we present, we do the necessary things that we have to do, and then we come out of the court. So that is what it is. But there are many people from the community who has been in the court and who is working in the court full time. One of the biggest examples I can give you is one. I'm not taking the name, but there is a very famous lawyer, and he's an advocate. So he is basically a trans man, and he has moved the court for making washrooms for the transgender people and for the people who are like non-binary. So for the people from the community, he has moved the court to make a washroom because he did not have a washroom for himself to use it in the courts. So that is something I think which is very revolutionary, and I think he should have more power, because he had the guts and the determination to do something so landmark like that for in the Calcutta High Court. So that is one instance. And talking about the government, I think there is a lot to do, because just last month, I think the justice who was there, the judge said that no one is gonna die if you don't get marriage legislations or marriage laws. So he basically meant about the gay marriage rights, which we have appealed, and the court, we have filed a petition. The community people and the lawyers have filed a petition that we need marriage laws, but the marriage laws are not given. It's just been postponed from one date to another. That is something I think I really point out, and I really want the government to look into and want that to change. And also certain things, there are many discriminatory laws. For example, if you have some time, I'm just giving it in short. Like the Section 18 of the Transgender Protection Act, it says that if a transgender person is sexually violated, the person who would sexually violate the transgender person would get an imprisonment of 6 months or more. Okay, but when it is a cisgender woman, when it is done through IPC, and the person will get a punishment of more than 7 to 10 years and more with imprisonment. So I think, why this discrimination? Rape is rape, sexual violence is sexual violence. So if the sexual violence happens with a transgender person, the punishment is 6 months. But if it happens with a cisgender woman, the punishment is more than 10 years. Why would you discriminate it with the transgender person? I mean, it is a very crazy law that you have made. I mean, of course, rape is rape and sexual violence is sexual violence. You cannot just discriminate it because the gender of the person is different. So I think such laws are very problematic, and this is why we, the people from the community, should be included more to, get into these laws and make the laws for ourselves.
That's very true. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know what the right term for it is, but it's unfair.
it
It
is. It is.
goes against the moral of treating everyone equally. And
Exactly.
for it to
It
be
is.
just
It is
blatantly put out like that,
unconstitutional.
yes,
Yeah.
I believe that's the right word,
Yeah.
unconstitutional. Okay, so let's talk more about fashion now. So, how
Yeah.
do you feel the fashion industry in India is
Mm-hmm.
accepting towards gender fluid fashion?
So I think it is. I think that we have a long way to go, and we have a lot to do. The problem is that if I wear a skirt tomorrow and go out on the streets, probably there will be people taunting me or looking at me, or also coming at me. It might just happen. But if Ranveer Singh does that, I think he will be celebrated all throughout the nation, and people will be like, wow, Ranveer Singh is wearing this. Ranveer Singh looks so good. He's like breaking stereotypes. So, I think heterosexual people is taking up the space again. It is like when we are doing it, we are getting discriminated for it. But when a cisgender heterosexual person is doing it, they are celebrated for it. So I think it is kind of unfair. So also very recently, the influencers, I think you all must know Komal Pandey and Siddharth Batra, the very fashionable influencers and style icons of the recent times. I think even they had an article on Vice India where they were saying that they are breaking gender stereotypes. But being heterosexual person, you are already privileged. You won't face that kind of bullying because of who you are, because you're not part of the community. You're taking up the space of the community. So I think it is kind of problematic, and there is a lot to do for the Indian fashion industry. Yes, they are being very inclusive. Few of the brands are promoting gender fluid fashion. They are giving chance to the LGBTQ community to model for themselves or their brand institutions. But I think there should be more awareness, and there should be more to do by the brands to give us the space that we deserve for our form of fashion. So I think that would be it.
So, there's another question asked by one of the
Yeah.
viewers.
Yeah.
So, uh, yeah. So, talking about brands, a viewer has
Hmm.
asked whether what is your view on the commercialization of the Pride Month? So, a lot of brands, because
Oh,
of June,
that's a very good question.
totally get
That's
into launching new
that's
lines,
yeah, that's a very good question actually.
advocating their support for the queer
Yeah.
community. So, what do you
Yeah.
take? Like, what do you feel
Yeah, so
about it?
the term for that is called pink capitalization, you know. So pink capitalization is something which is branding everything with the rainbow, and marketing their products on this, like, with the sake of our community, making everything rainbow prints or like pride prints or whatever of that theme. They So I think it is very, very, very ridiculous to reduce us to be a theme, to reduce us to be just a rainbow theme. All the year, you do not do anything for us. You do not do anything for protecting the people who are being killed or who are being discriminated. You don't do us, you are not giving us any jobs. You are not doing anything. You're just making money out of my sexuality. So I think it is a very ridiculous thing that June comes and all the brands go gaga, they go crazy, they start painting everything rainbow, make their logos rainbow. I think it is good that if you are sensitizing, if you're giving us representation, but I think do not use us as your campaign or your marketing gimmick. Because we are not monkeys, we are not marketing gimmicks. You cannot reduce our sexuality or our struggle or our history to just a theme. So I'm totally against it to making us just a theme. So I think that would be it.
So, what would you suggest these brands do?
Yeah, I think
Uh,
if
so,
you
what would you suggest these brands do to be more inclusive?
Yeah. So I think these brands should be sensitive enough. They should give proper representation, give them the jobs, give people from the transgender community jobs in your institutions, make actually give the chance from the LGBTQ community to represent, give them proper places or spaces to represent your brand properly, do initiatives, donate to certain, NGOs working for LGBT rights, do like actually do productive work for them and not just make them a theme. So I think the brands should be more sensitive throughout the year and not just the month of June to celebrate it, because most of the brands and most of the people don't even know what Pride Month is and why do we celebrate June as this. It all started as a riot. It was all bloodshed and violence and murder. So it has a very dark history, but now the brands have just reduced it to be a theme. So I think be sensitive all throughout the years and include us equally. So I think that what the brands should do.
Maybe partnering with the queer community to release a new
Yeah,
product line would help.
yeah,
I think there's a slight lag. Excuse me.
yeah, sure.
Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better because your screen was freezing. It's better.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. So I think recently a lot of communities, or there has been a lot of activity to promote or to support queer communities.
Yeah.
So what are the latest things that are happening, or, and something that we can all somehow contribute to?
The latest things, as in the movements or changes in the queer community.
No, like what an ally can do to support the
Okay.
community.
Yeah. I think I've mentioned it time and again. You should be more sensitive. You should educate yourselves rather than expecting that someone from the community will one day come and educate you. So I think if you have the option to get yourself educated in all other spectrums, you can also educate yourself in this spectrum. Talk about it, include in your basic conversations, teach people that not to be homophobic, teach people that these people are equally normal and they should have their rights. Talk about it with kids, talk about it with adults, talk about with anyone who is who should get the proper education. And being an ally, you should give them the space. That's what I would say. Don't take our spaces. Give us the space that we have not been given for so many years. And I mean, we have been treated like criminals, and we were criminals as per the government and the country. So I think you should give us our space back, and you should be more careful and you should be sensitive towards us, and stop anyone you see from bullying any person from the community. That is your responsibility to do that.
So, because of the pandemic situation, are you
Yeah.
doing, are you as an activist doing anything, or are there any latest developments for the community?
Yeah, so I work in the periphery of North Bengal here. So we kind of take care, or we kind of provide the little minimum help that we can for the working transgender community here. So who's more like who have been very much affected due to the lockdown and the pandemic. So we try to give them relief. We try to give them the ration, because we also kind of like, what my duty is, I kind of mail, I write letter to the DM, to the police commissioner, and to the concerned authorities to allow ration from the government ration shops. And also we work for the proper documentation of the, you say, Aadhaar card or voter card, PAN card. So we work with that. We like, that's what I work right now. I am working in that But the recent thing that has been done by one of the leading organizations here is vaccinate all the community people and specifically the transgender people. So that's what we have done, and I think it's a great leap because the state government has also helped us with that, and they have sent around more than 550 vaccination kits for the transgender community. So we have used that and we have successfully vaccinated almost all the people from the community here in North Bengal. So that's kind of good, I think.
That's a very great step, and I think other states should also take such measures to be inclusive.
Yeah, definitely. The entire country should do that.
And talking about states and their laws,
Yeah.
so recently the Madras High Court has sent out a clear message of
Yes.
inclusivity. So, what do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean it's a gift for us in the month of Pride. You know, the Pride month has been so kind to us. It's amazing because the judge he has taken a session from I think from a therapist or from a counselor regarding LGBTQ issues, and now he's so woke. He's informed about it. He gave a judgment that the schools should have LGBTQ education, that children should be taught about their, rights and sensitization of LGBTQ community. They shouldn't be discriminated. And moreover, which was like much, much, much needed, and it is a great leap for India as a country, that he has ordered to ban the conversion therapies, which is very serious issue in India, because many people are converted. The conversion therapies are very, it's very scary because they are given shock therapy. They are put into something which is called correctional rape. So a gay person would be raped, or a lesbian woman would be raped to convert them to a heterosexual person. So those things, shock therapies, there are many doctors all around India who are practicing and who have, made medicines, or who are claiming that they can cure your children if you send them. So the judge has said that you cannot go for a conversion therapy. It is absolutely normal, and conversion therapies should be banned. So that is something which is a great leap for our nation.
And I think it really
Yeah,
sends a clear message to everybody.
definitely.
And I really hope other states in the country also take this up.
Definitely. I hope that too.
So I think we've come to the end of the chat, and I'm
Okay.
so glad you're here. It was such a good time talking
The
and getting
pleasure
to
is
know so
mine.
many things.
This is how it is. No, we should all be one. We should all be a family, and that is how we will get to know each other. If you discard us from the society, how will you get, you know, good out of it, and how will we get good out of it? So we should all be one and together.
I really love that message of yours.
Yeah,
And on this note, I'll ask Mansi to take over and come
yeah,
conclude the
definitely.
session.
So I'm very thank you, sir, for being the guest speaker today. And we had the best time with you, and we got much of valuable information as well about sexual fluidity and about the banning of that conversion therapy that you told about.
Yeah,
And so I hope that you also enjoyed the session with Sri Varsha.
I
So
did.
yes. So yeah, we are looking forward to have more such talks in the coming days. Thank you so much.
I'm looking forward towards it. Thank you so much, Shivarsha, and thank you, Mansi, so much for the lovely questions and for everything, for the entire
Thank
program. Thank you so much.